So in this session, we would like to know there are a lot of advices that we get about what to eat every day, and it is difficult to adapt to these changes as well. So it gets difficult with so many information around. So it gets difficult for the audience and for the people to segregate the truth from the myth. So today I have a few questions regarding this weather changes and how it will affect our blood pressure, and how our lifestyle habits could also affect our health. So my first question is to understand how the weather changes affects our blood pressure.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm an interventional cardiologist, so we deal with the heart attack, blood pressure, also some part of diabetes, etc. So we have gone through summer months and now we are into winter months. So when the temperature changes, it affects everything, including our body. So changes we are expecting in a human body during winter months. During winter months, the temperature will drop and our body tries to adapt by doing various physiological changes. So when the body wants to retain heat, it will make some changes. So because of the drop in temperature, blood vessels will contract, and that will try to minimize the heat loss from the body. And that's the idea, to preserve the core temperature of the body. And when the blood vessels contract, what the heart is going to do is heart is going to increase the heart rate and increase the blood pressure in order to maintain the heart output and maintain the body temperature. So heart will have to work harder, it will have to pump more effectively, more blood, and heart rate will increase to adapt to those changes as well. So blood pressure increases, heart rate increases, and the resistance to the heart will increase. That's because the blood vessels around the body are going to contract to conserve the heat. So these are the changes which you will expect in any human body when the temperature goes down compared to what the body is used to. So we are in part of India where the temperature is not going down as much compared to northern parts of India. So we are in the southwest part of India. So here what temperatures we are seeing is in Pune city, somewhere like minimum we are seeing like 8 to 10 degrees. Most of the day it will be quite pleasant, 20 to 25 degrees or even 20 to 28 degrees centigrade. If you're up north, the temperatures will fall further. So in northern parts of India, you will see the temperatures dropping even close to 0 degrees centigrade. So body has to adapt. So in a sense, the answer to your question is body will make changes. The heart will have to increase its pumping capacity, its workload, and the blood pressure is also going to increase during this period of time when the temperatures are on the lower side.
I'm sure our audience didn't know this information. So thank you so much for filling us in with this. So my next question is more related to the winter weather. So can you tell us what are some common habits that one needs to prevent hypertension during this cold weather?
So as I mentioned, the body is going to increase the blood pressure in order to preserve the heat, in order to adjust to the temperature. Now, if you are a normal blood pressure person who do not have high blood pressure, your body will adjust and you don't have to worry much. But we'll have to adjust to the temperature. So what you can do is you can maintain the body temperature by maintaining your external parameters. What you will do, you will wear multiple layers of clothes so that your body temperature is maintained. You will try to stay indoors so that you are not exposed to cold weather. If you have to go out for whatever your activities, like going outside for your work, your sports activities, or dropping your kids or bringing up the kids, so whatever activities you're going to do, you will have to make sure that you're well wrapped in warm clothes and you are exposing yourself to the least amount of time to these lower temperatures. So that's what you need to take care, so that your body doesn't have to adjust as much. Now, if you are suffering from a high blood pressure, you are a high blood pressure patient, your blood pressure is going to rise further because of that response, it will be a little exaggerated. So what you need to do is make sure that you are taking your medication properly and you do not miss on your medication so that your blood pressure doesn't rise. And we will probably discuss how this rise in blood pressure is going to affect the blood pressure as well as heart attack rates.
Okay. Now that our audience knows what to do and what not to do, so if you guys have any more questions related to the lifestyle and how these things will change in the weather, please feel free to drop in the comment section, and we will take these questions at the end of the session. So, Doctor, my next question is, as we know, our heart pumping is harder to maintain a normal temperature in this weather. So, what are some preventive measures that we can take so our heart is not pressurized that much? As you have earlier explained that there is a lot of pressure that comes on our heart in this weather. So, can you just explain us a bit more?
So heart has to work at
Yeah.
heart level. So your heart will have to pump effectively more blood to maintain the body temperature. Your heart rate is going to go up, blood pressure is going to go up. So what you need to do is, as I said, maintain the external parameters like warm clothes, stay indoors, you have warm drinks, warm food, and that will help you to maintain the temperature. Uh, with regards to your medication, you need to continue taking whatever medication you have. So in these times, because the heart has to pump harder, more effectively, your chance of heart attack and rise in blood pressure, paralysis go up during this time. So it's very important that you take these measures in order to maintain the temperature.
Oh, thank you so much. So I have another very common doubt that people have, and it would be great if we can discuss about this as well. So is it true that the morning, like freezing morning hours, put more pressure on our heart? And if it does, can you please elaborate on how it does and why it does?
So morning, obviously, whenever you are looking at a 24-hour temperature, you will see that the temperatures are dropping to the minimum at 5 a.m. at most of the places. And that is the time, when the body is also changing. And what happens is most of the people would sleep during the night hours, and they will get up around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. The body has a diurnal variation pattern, and it depends on the sunlight and the darkness. So when the human being is waking up from the sleep, what happens is the cortisol, which is a hormone in the body, will start rising. And the cortisol peak comes at 4 o'clock in the morning. So from 4 o'clock onwards, the cortisol starts rising up. As a result of these changes in the hormones, the blood pressure will also go up, heart rate will go up, as well as clotting mechanism. So blood clot formation is likely to happen more in early hours of the morning. So what happens is, you must have heard this, that you get more heart attacks in early morning hours. Okay, and more so in the winter times, the heart attack rate increases, as we already discussed what changes our body goes through. So as a result of all these parameters, all these changes, the number of heart attacks increase during winter times.
Okay, thank you for letting us more detail about this particular thing. As we move on to the next question, we come to another very important chunk of our lifestyle, that is food. So let's talk about food related habits that might lead to an hypertension risk. So are there any specific fruits or vegetables that we need to include in our diet to prevent this high risk during this winter season?
So we'll talk in general.
Okay.
So general about the blood pressure and the foods. Obviously, foods which are very much high in salt content are going to increase the blood pressure. So any person with high blood pressure diagnosis, what we'll tell them is to avoid foods with high salt content. Most of the preserved foods, canned foods, will have preservatives and they will have high amount of salt. So we tell them not to use the foods which have preserved foods. Secondly, certain foods like in India, they eat a lot of papadam, pickles, all that has high amount of salt. And some people also have a habit of putting extra salt on top of whatever is in the given vegetable. So those habits are bad. So in general, you should avoid high salt diet if you're suffering from a high blood pressure problem. Secondly, I would say that if you eat fresh leafy vegetables, fresh fruits. It has a lot of antioxidants, so which are naturally present in fruits and vegetables. So if these natural antioxidants have a lot of benefits, they are going to prevent cancer, they are going to reduce the blood pressure, they are going to reduce the aging process. So if you use foods which are natural foods high in these contents, they are going to help you to control the blood pressure, to reduce the chance of heart attack, as well as look younger and reduce your aging process. So same thing holds true in winter months. We are quite in a okay situation in Pune city, but in situations where the temperature is quite low, their supply of green vegetables is less. So what these people can eat is tuberous foods. Tuberous means the foods which are growing under the ground, like carrots, potatoes, and other tuberous foods they can eat. They can also eat vegetables which are easily available. Some fruits are easily available in the winter months. For example, oranges, mandarins, oranges, these citrus fruits are easily available. So they should focus on these fruits which are easily available during winter months. So it's a general advice: avoid foods with high salt content. Eat more fresh fruits and vegetables which are seasonally available in whichever geographic territory you are living in. So that will help you to control blood pressure better, live longer, and reduce the chance of other diseases as well.
Thank you, doctor. We can definitely incorporate these things in our diet. So, moving on to the next question. Now we have talked about things to eat and things to avoid during this season. So, what are some foods that we crave a lot during chilly weather, but we should actually avoid them?
So, I'll just give an example. When it's a summertime, people want to go and eat a lot of ice cream because it's hot weather and they eat more and more ice cream. But anything in excess is very bad. So coming to ice cream has a high amount of sugar and it's cold. And so if you eat too much of ice cream during winter months, you're going to put on, in the summer months, you're going to put on weight and you're going to increase your sugar levels. So sugar is bad for the body. Okay. So in winter months, people have a habit of, one thing I would say, they tend to take a lot of coffee or tea, which are hot drinks, which is absolutely fine. But doing anything in excess is bad. So you can have 2-3 cups of tea or coffee during the day, hot drinks during the day, and that's fine. But if you take too much of caffeine or tea, then that's going to stimulate the heart. It's going to increase the heart rate. Again, it's going to have negative impact on the heart. Some people also have habit of taking hot chocolate in winter months, and they crave for hot chocolate. Again, same thing. It also has got caffeine, and it's going to have increase your weight if you're taking hot chocolate because it will also have sugar. So that's bad. Some people also have a habit of taking too much soups. So because it's a winter months, so they want to take hot soups. See, soups, if they are homemade soups, you can control amount of salt in it. But if you are buying canned soups or soups which are sealed packs, they will always have a high amount of salt content. So we recommend that you can make your own home cooked foods and soups using a less amount of salt, and they're going to be very good and healthy during these winter months. So avoid things like excess tea, coffee. Some people have a habit of smoking and using alcohol if they are in the cold weather, and they blame it on the weather. But actually, you should avoid smoking completely. Smoking is obviously going to increase your chance of heart attack. I already mentioned that heart has to work harder. Blood pressure is going to rise during winter months. So if you smoke, that's going to be adding like a fuel on fire. So avoid smoking completely. Alcohol wise, I think little bit of drink, if you are a person who drinks, that's going to be fine within permissible limits. And the limits is, what we say is maybe a peg of whiskey or a glass of wine or maybe a can of beer. And that's permissible during winter months, of course. But anything excess is going to be harmful.
Yeah. Completely agree. So let us follow what doctor says here, and it would keep us away from the risk of BP in this season. So we also know, like you recently said, that we see a spike in caffeine and alcohol consumption. We wish to keep the body temperature warm. Like that is the reason, because mostly people consume these things because they want to keep their body warm. So how healthy is this habit? Like